So, welcome all to the Thursday, June 11th, 2020, Napa Valley College Board of Trustees meeting. We are in session at 4:35 p.m.
And this is the special meeting?
Special meeting, right. We're going into a special meeting. And on that...
Uh-oh, it's running slow.
What are we doing? Can call to order, can roll call, please, Catherine.
Yes, ma'am. So Trustee Baker. Here. Trustee Iverson.
Here.
Trustee Dodd, I saw that you just entered. You're there. Trustee Rios.
Here.
Trustee Goff.
Here.
Trustee Baldini.
Here.
Thank you. And Trustee Segura.
Here.
Thank you. We're all present.
We do, I'm sorry, we don't do a Pledge of Allegiance, do we?
No, we're
A special meeting, so on the next one, okay.
Yeah.
On the agenda, 1.1.
we're here at public comment.
Public comment. I know. So, public comment. Did we get any cards?
No, we did not receive public comment for this.
Okay. The special meeting of the Napa Valley College Board of Trustees is now called to order, and that's for 4:35. There are no public comment, and we did roll call. General 3.1. And we have an action item, that's 4.1. And that it's resolution ordering governing board member elections. The recommended action is adopt a resolution pursuant to Education Code sections 5,000, 5304, and 5322, ordering school district elections for trustee areas whose governing board members' terms are to expire in December 2020. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees adopt the election specifications are included in the resolution and identify the need to elect members of the governing board from trustee areas 1, 6, and 7. And expenses are dependent on which, if any, of the 3 areas will be included on the ballot and are estimated at $30,000 to $90,000. May I have a motion?
I'll move it. Move approval.
Second. It's Trustee Baldini.
So moved by Trustee Baker, second by Trustee Baldini. And because I have to, I'm going down the line again, even though you motioned, Jennifer. How do you vote?
Aye.
Trustee Dodd?
Yes.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Rios?
Yes.
Trustee Baldini?
Aye.
And that's an aye for me as well. Do we have Pablo with us?
No, I have not seen him join.
Okay, did they, and, all right, never mind. So,
I'm sorry, I didn't call his name. Okay.
and so, Student Trustee Leon is absent for the time being. And so it passes unanimously. And with that, 5.1, we adjourned this special meeting. And we're opening the regular meeting. Again, welcome to this regular meeting of the Napa Valley College Board of Trustees, June 11th, 2020. And we're going into the regular meeting at 4:40 in the afternoon. Do we need to call the roll call again?
I could do that. Why not? Let's just do that to be sure. Trustee Baker.
Here.
Trustee Everson.
Here.
Trustee Dodd.
Here.
Trustee Rios.
Here.
Trustee Goff.
Here.
Student Trustee Leon is absent. Trustee Baldini
Here.
and Trustee Segura.
Here.
Thank you.
And welcome to people who may be joining us live on our stream. Thank you for being with us. And now we go to 2.2, and that's the Pledge of Allegiance. Trustee Goff, can you please do that for us? Can you lead us into the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
I have admitted Student Trustee Pablo Leon to the meeting.
Oh, welcome, Pablo. 2.2, adoption of the agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
Move approval by Trustee Baker, second by Trustee Rios. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
So hearing no abstentions or noes, the agenda is approved as is. So we move on to 3.1, public comment and guidelines. This public comment opportunity is governed by the State of California Brown Act. By definition, this is an opportunity to hear concerns, perspectives, and differing vantage points. The board is not able, under the Brown Act, to engage in any level of conversation or discussion, but we will look forward to this opportunity to gather community input. At this time, the Board of Trustees will devote up to 15 minutes to review comment to the Board of Trustees regarding any subject not appearing as an agenda item for this meeting, but over which the board has jurisdiction. The public may request that the board place an item related to the business of the district in a future board agenda. No action or discussion will occur at this time on such items. Review of each comment shall last no longer than 5 minutes. And we have received no public comment cards. Public comment on closed session items. 4.1, closed session public guidelines. At this time, the board will devote a total of up to 15 minutes to review comments emailed to the Board of Trustees regarding closed session agenda items. Comments will be posted here for the public record. And we have not received any public comment on closed session items. The board now will move to closed session. This public session will resume at approximately 5:30. Trustees are instructed to leave this meeting and click on the link to the closed session meeting. Items on closed session is 5.1, conference with labor negotiators. 5.2, public employee evaluation. And 5.3, conference with labor negotiations. I hear my echo. And so off we go to closed session. Reopening public session at about 5:55 in the afternoon. Apologize for everyone that was waiting for us. Close went a little bit longer than we had thought. So item number 6, announcement on items from closed session. There is no announcements to be made. And so we go to number 7, 7.1, ratification of proposed adjustment to employment agreement. We need to take that out of the agenda, so we're not going to be discussing that tonight due to technical, if I may, issues. So no announcement on that. And so we go on to number 8, 8.1, Associated Students of Napa Valley College Officer Recognition. Mr. Casada, you're on. Ben?
Yes, we have a presentation set forward. It's just looks like it needs to rewind, but Catherine Kittle will be starting the presentation momentarily.
Good afternoon, Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, and the public. My name is Benjamin Casada, and I am the manager of Student Life. I'm here today to award certificates of appreciation, which are being awarded to current student government officers who are serving terms from June 2019 through August 2020, with an extension due to the pandemic emergency. These student government officers have performed their duties in an exemplary and highly professional manner. Their efforts in student advocacy, production of student-led events, and shared government has had a direct impact on student life and the students in general, and has contributed to the success of the Office of Student Life and the Associated Students Leadership Program. I would like to take this moment to present to you the Associated Students of Napa Valley College and a little presentation that they have made. Thank you.
My name is Rosanna Gomez. I am a psychology major and I'll be transferring to UC Berkeley in the fall. This is my first year in ASNVC, and what made me join was my motivation to make a difference. Over the course of my last 3 years at Napa Valley College, I never knew how many opportunities there was for me to make a difference. Thus, in joining ASNVC, I have been able to connect with others and make a change in our community.
Hi, my name is Francesca Mejia, and I'm going to be transferring to UC Berkeley in the fall, majoring in history and political science. I've been on ASNVC on the board for a year now, and I joined ASNVC because I really wanted to get involved in the community at Napa Valley College and help make campus a better place while I was there, and also to leave a lasting impact on the college. And the way that I did that was I advocated to the Board of Supervisors for an official ballot drop box at Napa Valley College, which we now have, and it's a permanent institution on our campus to remind students to fulfill their civic duty and vote. And so I'm really proud of the effort that I put into that, and now we have an official ballot drop box on our campus.
Hi, my name is London LeGree, and I am a psychology major. I will be transferring to UC Davis in fall 2020. I have been on the board for 1 year, totaling 3 semesters, and I joined because I noticed the representation for Black students was very low, and I wanted to be that voice. I want to inspire future generations of Black students who attend Napa, and hope they will see more representation, and if they don't, for them to get up and change the status quo.
Hi everyone, my name is Michael. I am a senator here at ASNVC. I have already graduated with a political science degree, and I have been working on requirements for an economics degree. I will be transferring to UC Berkeley in the fall, and I'll be majoring in political economics. I've been in ASNVC since fall 2019. I joined the ASNVC to work on my leadership skills and to be more involved here at the college. And outside of the college, I do a lot of hiking, ceramics, and music.
Hi everyone, my name is Erica Hernandez and my position in ASB is treasurer. My plan is to transfer to Sonoma State University spring of 2021 to attain a bachelor's in business with a concentration in accounting, along with a minor in Spanish. My career goal is to become an accountant for an automotive company.
Hi, I'm Victoria. I've been on the board for 1 year now as secretary, and I'm exploring my options with my major. I joined ASNVC to take an active role in the school and to gain new leadership skills amongst my peers. It's been a privilege being one of the student representatives of Napa Valley College.
Hello, my name is Aurora and I am the daughter of immigrants. I have been at NVC for about 3 years now and I just graduated this semester. My major is in political science with a minor in human rights, and the college I'll be attending in fall is UC Davis. I have been on the board for 1 year, and what made me want to join ASNVC is to plan events for the students and to make them feel more comfortable on campus. Thank you.
Hello, Board of Trustees. My name is Pablo Leon. This fall 2020, I will be attending the University of California in Davis. I will be pursuing a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and computer science. I have the pleasure of serving on the ASNVC board as both treasurer and as student trustee. I decided to join ASNVC in 2017 to learn something new about myself. I was always so preoccupied with classroom content. I would go back and forth from lecture to exam, missing out on the opportunity to learn so much more. Through ASNVC, I discovered how to lead as a scholar. I've made wonderful friends and worked among the countless brilliant souls who call this college their home. Members of the Board of Trustees, thank you for your commitment to higher education. May we continue to support one another for years to come. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Celeste Romero Medina. I'm a sociology and anthropology major. This is my first year in ASNVC. I initially signed up because I wanted to step out of my comfort zone and be an active voice of change. I am happy to have joined the council with such an amazing group that has helped me through that process. Here is our president, Christopher Sotelo Hernandez. I also want to thank our advisor, Ben Quesada, for helping us understand our role and advising us in decisions dealing with ASNVC. For this portion of the presentation, we just wanted to show some of the events that we've sponsored, participated in, and held throughout the year. One of the first events that we helped with was Welcome Back Week. We helped with the setup, takedown, the navigation of students, and the distribution of food. One of the events that we did was Club Rush. Organize the table structures within the library plaza. We distributed food, drinks, as well as set up party games and help students with any questions, as well as clubs for setting up and taking down. For Constitution Day, we teamed up with the Women's League of Voters. We wanted to promote advocacy and voting amongst the student population at Napa Valley College. We held Constitution Trivia, where we gave out ASNVC swag, most notably our water bottles, for those who participated. We also handed out food and drinks. Another notable aspect about this event is that we informed students about their 9+1 rights by handing out flyers and cards detailing each one of those rights. Spookyville, we supported the classified Senate and staff with the setup, publicizing, and navigating students to the designated area for the event. We supported ICC and the Glade lighting. We volunteered to help with the setup breakdown, as well as the distribution of food. We supported the Salvation Army with Angel Tree, and we stayed after hours to get all the gifts wrapped that were donated for the cause. We did a fundraising event, which was the car wash, to raise funds for our student council to go to Washington, D.C. We also did a meet and greet, which we advertised ourselves as well as our IDs. We also told students and marketed the elections that were coming up. Sadly, one of the events that we were looking forward to and planned most of the fall semester for, which is Multicultural Day, had to be canceled because of COVID, but we will be tabling this event and delegating it to the next group. Our upcoming event is to honor the 2020 graduates. We are holding a virtual game night on Zoom and giving away prizes. For this portion of the presentation, we'll be going over some of our accomplishments as well as some of the connections we made over our term. One of the first accomplishments and honors that our group got to do was be one of the first community colleges to actually run an event at Seesaw. The event that we participated and ran was Icebreakers, in which we organized 3 to 4 activities to allow more communication within the members that joined. This was a great leadership and opportunity for ASNBC to have, as it really showed how we were able to step up to the plate to lead a massive group of more than 200 individuals. Some of the groups and forums that we've attended and participated in are the housing forums that were discussing student housing that would be built behind the PAC Center. We went to voice students' concern and let the developers know anything that students would be interested in adding on, as well as securing safety within the building. We've attended the Equity Inclusivity Focus Group and provided a list of potential guest speakers that students would be interested in seeing on campus. We've also participated in the McPherson Award Committee to give the students perspective on nominees. Here's a list detailing some of the groups and organizations that we've supported and sponsored, as well as some of the organizations and individuals that we've connected with over our term. Such groups like the League of Women's Voters, Salvation Army, the Black Student Union, OIA, the Transfer Center, and CalFresh. We've connected with the LGBT Connections, the Voices Here in Napa, Mike Thompson, and Victor Valley College. Our trip to Washington, D.C. and ASAC was another display of our leadership, our adaptability, and gave us a chance to hone and display our networking skills that we gained from Seesaw. We first met with Mike Thompson, as well as his Deputy Chief of Staff. We were lucky to get through security as they were tighter than usual due to COVID concerns. We were able to sit down and push for the discussion of the bill AB 302, talks about homeless students using the parking lots of college. We were able to hear his perspective as well as how he was able to get into politics. We also thanked him for his contribution in financially backing our trip. However, when we went back to the hotel and were ready for ASAC activities to start, one of the representatives informed us last minute that they did not have any keynote speakers at the ready that they promised to the group, as well as a lot of the representatives of Congress were not video chatting with us as they stated they were. So we stepped up to the plate and to fill in the time slots ASNVC, with the help of our advisors, set up workshops for us and the remaining colleges at the conference. Being able to network with such an array of colleges and be able to see how they run their student council has been very informative, and I'm very glad we were able to advocate while still on the trip during the pandemic. I believe this displays how dedicated our student council is for the advocacy of our students and adapting to anything, whether that be a global pandemic. Some more forms of advocacy our group has done is support resolutions from the Student Senate of California Community Colleges. Down below on the slide are some of the resolutions we supported. I'm also proud to say that collectively our group has done 4 proposals to help us with the Washington trip and other activities that we've conducted. I'm also proud to say that our group was successful in getting a voter drop-off box here on our campus. Our group also focused on updating and rebranding ASNVC and the Student Life Office. One way we did that was we redesigned a brochure as well as made ASNVC swag merch, such as pop sockets, tumblers, water bottles, lanyards. We also had plans on getting pins and hats before COVID to give out to our students. This was important for our group because we wanted the students to feel more connected to their campus. One of our priorities was focusing on our social media page. Our group made an Instagram for our student council and posts information for students, as well as created posts to be able to grab their attention to relay information that the college had for our students. It was a great way to get student feedback. Thank you for your time, and I want to thank the Board of Trustees for recognizing our group and being able to see our accomplishment and our hard work that we've done to support our students here at NVC.
Sorry, I was muted. Ben, congratulations on what you've done with the group. That it's awesome how, their accomplishments speak very highly of you. Thank you. Any more comments? Hello? Can anybody hear me?
I just want to say that I really appreciate the video. I think it was actually almost like it felt like they were here.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
kinda nice. It was like I kept smiling and nodding like they could see me. So it was very well done. Appreciate that.
Yes. And so we go on to number 9 on the agenda. And constituency reports. 9.1, Academic Senate report. Dr. Tejada, can you?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, good evening.
Good
Board
to
of
see you.
Trustee members, good to see you too. Board of Trustee members, staff, and community. I am happy to report that the Napa Valley College Academic Senate Instructional Design Institute is staffed and operational. This summer, the Institute will run 2 sessions concentrating on effective online pedagogy that will align with the DE online rubric and allows the faculty to prepare for the POCR, which is the peer evaluation of online courses in the fall, and also prepares us for our comprehensive visit for ACCJC. Today, I met with faculty and administrators to develop the criteria for our trainers who will develop and implement training in culturally responsive pedagogy, face-to-face pedagogy. We will continue to run both the DE pedagogy workshops and the culturally responsive pedagogy workshops during the fall semester. The Instructional Design Institute, the curricula provided by this institute will allow Napa Valley to meet accreditation standards, meet the Chancellor's Office mandates for DE, and most importantly, keep Napa Valley College faculty current in the most effective, equity-minded strategies, practices, and pedagogy to increase student success. My portion of the IEPI grant report, which is due on June 30th. I would like to add that the Instructional Design Institute is modeling practices of economic justice and equity by recognizing that this training exceeds faculty job descriptions and offers compensation in a manner that recognizes competence and the hard academic work of curricula development and teaching preparation. I would like to thank Dr. Kraft for modeling with me a healthy collaborative relationship between the Napa Valley College Academic Senate and the Office of the President. Thank you, Dr. Kraft, for your support. Also underway this summer is the Board and Administrative Policy Review Task Force. At the last Senate meeting of this spring, Professors Andrew Bewick, Seth Anderson, Eric Shearer responded to my call to serve on the task force. Dr. James McGowan is also serving on the task force in his position of first VP of the Senate, and I am chairing the task force in my position as president, Academic Senate President. The Senate Administrative Assistant is providing the task force much needed support, and I'd like to acknowledge Ms. Catherine Kittle and I are working together to ensure that the task force has all of the information that it needs to proceed with the task, and that our office, that the President's office and the Senate align. Again, I'm happy to report that Napa Valley College Academic Senate, the Faculty Association, and the Office of the President are modeling healthy collaboration, respecting boundaries, ensuring equity in pay, and open, authentic communication. The task force has as its goal this summer to revise between 8 to 10 policies this summer for initial review of the Academic Senate in business session, and that will get them, that will get the policies in the pipeline for approval. I just want to say we are, we continue to practice good communication. Just wanting to acknowledge that faculty do understand the current economic situation, and we do understand some of the decisions that have been made in terms of hiring freezes. In the future, we hope that such decisions will be shared with the Senate leadership so that we together, we can practice open, authentic communication and model that not just for the Napa Valley College community, but also for our students. I close my report this evening by expressing my most sincerest gratitude to Faye Smiley. Faye, it was indeed a pleasure to work with you this year. You made the transition into this position for me a smooth one, and I appreciated the support, the guidance, and our collaboration, your office with the Senate. I welcome you back into the faculty ranks, and hopefully after COVID is under control, we might be able to return to our offices that we share in the hallway and we can visit in person again. I look forward to that. I also wish in closing to welcome Dr. Sarah Parker. I look forward to our journey together in creating a more equity-minded Napa Valley College community. Welcome, Dr. Sarah Parker. Thank you all. That is my report.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tejeda. 9.2, Mr. Harris.
Yes. Good evening, board. Excuse me. I'm having problems with my camera, so I figured I'd use the picture from my son's wedding a couple years ago. At any rate, since we last met in June or May, seems like a long time ago, the Administrative Senate really hasn't done much formally in terms of we had a last meeting and haven't done a whole lot, so there's no formal report in that regard. However, with today's open dialogue that President Kraft brought forth and the one that was done earlier, the Administrative Senate staff, confidential staff, wish to do everything we can to continue the open dialogue, to create an environment on the campus that is inclusive, that is comforting, that is welcoming to everybody, regardless of who they are and what shape they may be, or color, or religion, or any of those, any protected classes. So with that said, we look forward to working together as a community as we move through the COVID process, through the challenging times that we're having these days on a day-to-day basis as the process evolves. We look forward to working with everybody to make the campus, the community, the state, and ultimately the world a better place. And on that note, I would like to echo Dr. Tejada's comments regarding Faye Smiley. On a personal note, when I first started, Faye was I think she was serving as an interim, and and so in the end, she's serving as an interim. But we've had frank talks, we've had discussions about multiple items, and Faye, I've always appreciated what your perspective, the thoughts, and we've had wonderful discussions about a multitude of items, and I look forward to continuing that, perhaps in a little different prospect or mode as you return to the faculty. And once again, look forward to working with Dr. Parker as she assumes the role of Associate Vice President, Assistant Superintendent. Or not Associate, I'm sorry, sir, I didn't mean to say Associate Vice President, Vice President, Assistant Superintendent. So that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Harris. On to 9.4, Classified Association Report. Valerie Mall. Is Valerie with us?
She is not. She has sent in a report and it has been posted. And don't forget to skip over Christopher Hernandez Sotelo, although I don't think he's here.
Yes. Associated Students of Napa Valley College Report. Christopher Hernandez.
I don't think he's present.
Yeah, Paula, did he send anything?
No, I haven't received anything.
Okay, thank you very much. So we go on to 9.5, Classified Senate Report. Mr. Shoemaker?
I don't believe he's present.
Thank you. 9.6, Faculty Association Report. Christy Aguamoto.
I'm here.
Hey.
Hello.
Christy.
Good, good. How are you?
Real good, thank you.
I also kind of have an, sorry. I have an informal report, sorry. Just wanted to let everybody know that we did sign some MOUs toward the end of the semester. I think actually, Char, wasn't it during finals week that we finally came to an agreement on them, and Bob? So we have signed some things that are going to be very important for faculty. One of those is we did sign an expansion of some new guidelines for the COVID-19 safety and health guidelines for fall 2020 for any class that may have to meet face-to-face. This is going to be very important because it allows for social distancing, for wearing of masks, so that those classes that are going to have to be in physical presence remain safe, and we protect our faculty and our students. So that was a really important one that we got signed during finals week. We also expanded our part-time faculty rehire rights. For, our part-time faculty are very valued. We wanted to make sure that they had access to those seniority lists that we are currently putting together. Finally, we also did some work on our personal necessity leave, so that we expanded that so that faculty are able to use their personal necessity leave in the event of something like a natural disaster, which had not been previously something that they could do. And so, we did do some work on that. So we are getting some things done on the contract. I also wanted to thank Faye for all the work that she has done as interim VPAA. And I welcome you back with open arms, Faye, to faculty. And I also wanted to welcome Dr. Sarah Parker. We've not gotten a chance to connect yet, but I'm sure we will be in touch. And I'm hoping that we can get a lot of good things done this year. So thanks very much. That's my report.
Thank you very much, Christy. So before we move on, we please wish Christy a happy birthday. Can we all together say happy birthday, Christy?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Christy.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
And thank you for all you do, Christy. 9.7, President and Cabinet reports.
Thank you. A couple things that I'd like to point out. The college is completely grateful. Everybody stole my thunder here when, thanking Faye. And so that's first on my agenda tonight. The infamous call for me to have coffee generally means that somebody's going to be asked to do something. So I called Faye last summer and we had coffee, and she graciously, I think, decided that she would, take one for the team and step in, knowing what a great amount of work it would be. And Faye, you've done just a tremendous job. I cannot believe, actually, felt like we had coffee last week, and literally it's been a year. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's really been a wonderful year, and you've done so much great work. So I'll see you in the hall next to Arlene's office here soon. And Sarah is welcome. Dr. Sarah Parker is going to be joining us, and it already feels like you're an old soldier here already. So she's been stepping in and meeting. There is a board. We'll have opportunities to talk and meet as well. I'll probably do some 2-on-1s and 3-ups, to try to introduce Sarah to you as well. We'll be working over the summer. She's spending an intensive time with Faye and myself onboarding and the rest of cabinet. So I'm very excited about all of that. Second, let me jump to a couple things. College activities addressing racism, discrimination, and injustice. A lot of activity, as you know. The call to action by the Chancellor's office was an unexpected piece from him. I did not expect him to roll that fast on really addressing it, but I could tell from his previous emails and from an address that he with the CEOs the week of most of the major issues, that he was going to get very serious. He had a couple CEO meetings. We discussed his call for action, and then he had, and some of you were on that call, many trustees were, and most of the college and staff, there were hundreds on that call, and basically he forwarded a call to action, a California community call to action. And it really is a system-wide review. I'm just going to review a little bit for us. Police and first responder training, we've already started on that here. Campus leaders host open dialogues and address campus climate. We've started on that. Howard Willis launched an all-staff in coordination. with senior leaders and the dialogue. That led to me issuing more dialogues, and we had another all-staff dialogue today. Some of you are on that as board members. We had an African-American Black faculty, staff, and administrator dialogue yesterday. It feels like a long time ago now. It was heartful and meaningful, and I think our staff shared in a very safe way, deep hurt. And that came across today in our conversations. I've scheduled 2 more, one in July, one in August. These are all staff. We are going to continue to work over the summer and get at the discussion. Most of it now is just kind of following this sequence of listening for understanding, discussion. Then we want to move to planning, but then action, right? I think everybody really wants to move to what can we do here? Coming back to the chancellor's issues, campus leaders, opus dialogue with campus police. We've already started that. Campus's audit classroom climate, create an action plan. That's what we're going to do. District board review. Now we're into what I'm speaking to you tonight. We're reviewing our policies. We've already reviewed and changed some procedures and policies on site, and we'll be coming back to you once we do a full review. And I'm going to really lean into the academic senate, to the shared governance process, and really look at policies that might be more inclusive and where we can address equity across the board. So those are very important things. We're also engaging in a few other things. I've committed us as an institution to the USC Race and Equity Center. It is a California Community College Equity Leadership Alliance. And I'll be rolling that out to faculty and staff. It provides for professional development that can be organized, I think, and through both our training, HR, and also through the Institute for our folks. And there's so many resources. So we have a long way to go, but I wanted you to know that we're fully addressing and working diligently on this. And the emails that you've been receiving, hopefully you're reading those and you're up to speed, and you'll be getting more this week. Finally, let me just jump real quickly here to my other note. Major statewide initiatives, certainly COVID is still front and center, and we are dealing with that in terms of our planning, organization, academic senate, deans, and FAE, and scheduling has organized, and we'll have more information on fall as we roll forward. Budgeting is still unfolding. Depending on who you listen to, whether it's a politician or a staffer, you're going to get a different version of what it might be. I think the Teflon nature, if you will, which I've heard that twice now from city leaders here, our tourism is really the backbone of Napa. If people perceive that it's safe to enjoy what we do here, then our local environment and economics might respond faster. There's as many people who would argue against that as would be for it. So as Bob has shared with you, and we'll share more as we get into August, we're not going to know clearly, I think, until August, September, October, where we're really coming into. And then there's a lot of legislative actions right now. Everything from equity, budgeting, long-term policy review. I know the Higher Education Act is being looked at again. And I think the news, generally speaking, across the nation for colleges and universities, that they're in trouble, and you have shared those articles as we've been sending them. The major, what I call high profile universities, are going to do not only good, but better. They have, if you will, a fantastic brand, and they'll probably be admitting more people, in fact. The middle line schools and colleges, the traditional black colleges especially, are really taking a hit. It's going to be difficult this year to kind of ferret this out. I think a lot of students are thinking about a gap year, as you've read, and we forwarded over to you as well. And that would probably generate more enrollment for us in the fall. So we're expecting that, and we're building a little bit for it, and we'll just have to see. So with that, I think that I will just nod over to Cabinet, and I'm going to start. Charlie, do you have anything in this area that you want to share?
As we are continuing with our efforts in human resources, we will be bringing back in the fall, after it goes through shared governance, our EEO plan, highlighting the significant movement that we have made in the past 3 years with our recruitment efforts and adding to the diversity of our faculty and staff. We still have a lot of work still to do. But I'm very proud of the progress that we've made at this district with our recruitment efforts. Additionally, this summer, we have rolled out our second year of our Summer Institute for training our managers. And this year is our first year that we have rolled out a Summer Institute for our classified professionals. Our training program is geared towards development and training of job skills to reinforce and improve the performance of both classified professionals as well as managers. And we will be and will continue to have discussions with our colleagues to continually include diversity and equity inclusivity topics within the fabrics of the training program. Thank you, Dr. Kraft.
Thank you. Oscar, please.
Oh, yes, thank you, Mr. Kraft. When we first learned that having an in-person commencement this year was going to be something that was not going to happen, we started, as most other schools did as well, most other colleges and universities, we started to search and to research what option we might give our students, because it's important that they acknowledge that we acknowledge them and that we acknowledge their accomplishments and their sacrifices that they've endured here at Napa Valley College. And so, but part of that was what exactly do we think that they may want? So what we did is that to my office, we launched 2 surveys asking students of their choice of options. Most of the students, I would say 55% or so, if not more, opted for an in-person celebration or commencement in their future. Another small percentage say, well, yeah, we'll try it virtual since everyone else is apparently doing these virtual celebrations. Maybe you should try that as well. So at the end of the day, after more thought and more thinking and having the commencement committee meet and give their input, we decided to copy what College of the Redwoods is doing. And what they've done is that they've created a celebration via video. So it's a combination of a video with virtual content. And in this case, what we've done is that, and I want to first of all give acknowledgement to Martha Navarro in my office, to Ali Scholl in OIA, to Scott Allen in OIA, and to Holly Dawson for having put their efforts all together to create this celebration via video that includes about 186 of our graduates who opted to have their picture sent in, as well as a little brief comment. And it also includes approximately 20 or so faculty, staff, and administrators with offering their salutations to our graduating class of 2020. And so you will have the opportunity, and you were reminded, you were sent a communication earlier in the day that the premiere, there's a video, it will be held tomorrow, Friday at 6:00 p.m. And it's going to be on our college YouTube and Facebook channels. So I encourage each and every one of you to view this, to enjoy it, and hopefully it's the last time we have to do it this way, because the in-person mode is much more satisfying. But thank you.
Thank you, Oscar. Bob.
Obviously, the biggest issue that we're dealing with in, excuse me, administrative services right now is the budget. And we'll be talking more about that a little later in the agenda. But as Dr. Kraft said, it is a very confusing time in terms of looking toward next year and determining what our budget will be. And we clearly won't know. The information coming out of Sacramento changes on a regular basis. And so we're really looking at, as the state is, really looking at late summer, early fall before we'll have a clear picture. But as I say, we'll be talking more about that a little later in the agenda.
Thank you, Bob. Faye?
So mine is more of a personal note tonight. As you all know, this is my last board meeting as the interim vice president of academic affairs. And I truly want to thank the Board of Trustees for the opportunity to serve the college this year. A year that was far beyond what I expected, although it has proven to be one of our most challenging years for us at this college and as a nation. I continue every day to be grateful for my 20-year tenure at NVC and the opportunity to serve our students. Board of Trustees, it has been a true pleasure to work with each and every one of you. I also have to thank the entire college. The support I have been given by many of you who are at this meeting tonight and so many others was truly amazing. I am humbled by your kind words. Hard for me to accept, but thank you, thank you. That support and our continued commitment to student success was certainly how I made it through this year. So thank you, my NVC family. And I want to welcome again our new VP of Academic Affairs, Dr. Sarah Parker. I look forward to passing the torch to her on July 1. I know, because I have met with her and I'm getting to know her, and I know this transition is going to be very smooth for our college. And you will witness the continued support for our students, staff, and faculty under her leadership in academic affairs. So thank you again. It has truly been an honor to serve the college in this capacity.
Thank you, Faye. Matt.
Yes, thank you, Faye, for your service. Thank you for stepping up to the plate for us.
It's an
and
That's
and
my
welcome, Dr. Parker.
So I'm done, Rosada. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we move on to item number 10, 10.1. I do need to make a correction on my report out for the May meeting on item 7.1 regarding the employment of Dr. Parker. I stated that the contract ran through 2023, and that is not true. The correct year is 2024. So we have her for 4 years and not 3. And I apologize for that, but that's that I needed to make. Can I have a motion, please?
Move approval of that amendment.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Baldini, second by Trustee Iverson. Trustee Baker, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustee Dodd?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Rios?
Come on, John. What happened? Hey, Bubba, come on. Come on.
Christine, you're not muted. Student Trustee Leon?
Aye.
Trustee Baldini?
Aye.
Sorry.
And that's an aye for me as well. And that was for approval for the amendment and the minutes, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you very much. So we move on to 11. 11.1, approval of consent calendar. May I have a motion?
Move to approve the consent calendar. Second.
That was by trustee Rios. Was that a second by trustee Goff?
I think it was two of us. I'm not sure who you heard.
Trustee Iverson seconded, but I think Baker beat me, so.
Yeah, whatever.
So who wants to take it? Baker? So moved by trustee Rios, a second by trustee Baker. Trustee Baker.
Aye.
Trustee Dodd.
Aye.
Trustee Goff.
Aye.
Trustee Iverson.
I'm sorry, you cut out. I don't know if that was me, but I'm an aye.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Rios.
Aye.
Student trustee Leon.
Aye.
Trustee Baldini.
Aye.
And that's an aye for me as well. So we go on to 12. 11.1, results of faculty chair election. That's a recommended approval.
It's an action item.
Yes. So
to approve the appointment of Dr. Tia Madison as our faculty chair for Language, Arts, and Developmental Studies.
Move for approval. Trustee Dodd.
Can I have a second?
Second, Baldini.
Thank you very much. A move by trustee Dodd, a second by trustee Baldini. Trustee Baker, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustee Dodd?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Rios? Student trustee Leon?
Aye.
Trustee Baldini?
Aye.
Did we lose our chair?
She's muted.
I think we did.
Sorry. Gracious. So Faye, Foy and Greg, would you like to say something about
So are we on 12?
the renewal? Yeah, the renewal of college and career access pathways.
Right, so this is the renewal of our agreement with Napa Unified School District regarding our CCAP classes. And we will be having a number of classes this fall. And I guess the other thing that I want to talk about is that we're still building all of these relationships. And with the pandemic happening this spring, we haven't had the opportunity to build our CCAP capacity the way we had hoped, but I do want to let the board know that we have been in conversations with the principals at the high schools. Chantel Ridgel and Greg Moralia have built great relationships, and we're just, we'll have more of those conversations happening in the fall. So you'll probably see another renewal of this agreement as we move forward with more classes as a part of this agreement. But for right now, you can see in your appendix, I believe it's B, am I correct when I say that? Yes, the classes that we'll be offering in 2021 in fall and spring.
Thank you very much. 12.3, SBA Cares, Napa Sonoma.
I had a question.
Oh, please, yes, I'm sorry.
Question about that, that's okay, about that contract, Faye?
Yes, hi Beth.
Appendix B,
Yes.
where it lists the days and hours. I'm confused because the third class listed, the basic anatomy and physiology class, is a year-long class, and yet it does not have as many hours. It almost has half as many hours as the other two classes listed that are just semester classes.
So let me explain that. So when it says, so the days obviously are to be determined because we're still trying to figure that out.
Right.
But the hours, Trustee Goff, are the hours for the class. So they are the contact hours for the class. So 90 hours for our course outline of record for calculus, for Math 120, and 90 contact hours for Math 121, excuse me. But for Health Doc 100, it is only a 54-hour class. Mm-hmm. So whether we offered it in a semester, just for the amount of hours that are needed to do the content, or if there's labs associated with it, will vary how many hours are associated with the course.
Well, so I guess I'm confused.
So
I'm confused because it's a full year format. So how does the full year format?
So, sorry, Zoom is so hard, you end up talking over each other, I apologize. So what I was gonna say is, if this was a semester class, it would still be 54 hours. And it is still 54 hours because that is what the class is, when it went through the curriculum process, it was designated to be a 54-hour class. Okay. It generally meets on our campus 3 hours a week for 18 weeks. So it doesn't matter if we offered it for one semester or a full year format, it would be 54 hours.
Gotcha. So it has no relationship to a high school schedule. It's simply what a college course hours would be.
Exactly.
Correct?
Exactly.
Okay, now I got it. Thank you.
Exactly. And I know I wondered whether that might be confusing for folks because of the drastic difference. But yes, no matter. Those are the hours for that class, no matter how we offer it.
Great. Thank you very much. That helps a lot. Appreciate it.
No worries.
Thank you. And I apologize, I didn't ask for comments. Any more comments? Any more questions? Thank you. So now we go on to 12.3. SBA Cares, Napa Sonoma. That is an action item. Okay, do you care to mention anything about this?
This is just an opportunity for our Small Business Development Center to assist our businesses that have been affected by COVID-19. So this is. Okay.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
Move approval. Second, Baldini.
Move approvable by Trustee Baldini, second by Trustee Rios. Trustee Baker, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustee Dodd?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Rios, I need to ask again.
Aye.
Trustee Student Leon?
Aye.
Trustee Baldini?
Aye.
And that is also an aye for me. Passes unanimously. 13, Administrative Services Information, Discussion, Action Item. 12.1, Revised Chancellor's Office Budget and Reporting Timeline. Mr. Parker?
So, and this is strictly an information item. There's no action that needs to be taken for this, but in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Chancellor's Office has extended some of the deadlines that have previously been in place for adoption of budgets and filing of financial reports. And so, Catherine, if you could scroll to the timetable, it's a little further down. And so, yeah, this is perfect. So, first one, submit the tentative budget to the county officer. The regulatory due date was July 1st. The new due date is August 1st. That means that districts could have until their July board meeting to adopt a tentative budget. We chose not to do that here, but to stick with the original deadline, and that's primarily because, well, there are a couple of reasons. The primary reason is that we involve campus constituent groups. We have on our Planning and Budget Committee, we have faculty representatives, Class 5 representatives, administrative representatives. They have all reviewed what we're proposing to you tonight as our tentative budget. As faculty are now off contract, we wouldn't be having any more meetings. And so we felt that the tentative budget that we initially developed was probably the best estimate of where we think we'll be next year, knowing that we'll definitely need to make some changes when we get to the final budget. The other reason for not pushing that deadline forward or moving adoption of the tentative budget to the July board meeting is that we probably won't have any better information about what the final budget will look like in July. We're really waiting until, and what we're hearing from the state is it's really August or September. So we're going to move forward with bringing you the tentative budget tonight. But the other deadlines will help a bit. So for example, hold a public hearing on the proposed budget and adopt a final budget, that's moved from September 15th to October 31st. And that's good because it will give us more time once we get better information about our overall budget picture to work with our campus constituent groups after they come back, when faculty come back in August for the fall semester. Gives us more time to work with them. The fact that the final budget can wait until October 31st then pushes forward, and Catherine, can you scroll to the next page? It pushes forward the submitting our annual financial and budget report to the Chancellor's office. That's typically due October 10th. Because that includes budget information for the new fiscal year, they've pushed that back to November 30th. Because that annual financial and budget report is what our auditors use and review to prepare our audited financial statements, the state is saying that submitting an annual audit report to the Chancellor's office, which is typically due December 31st, will not be due this year until February 28th. So just wanted to give you a little bit of information on how those deadlines are shifting a bit in light of COVID-19.
Thank you for the information. Does anybody have any comments or questions?
Nope.
Okay. 13.2, approval of the 2020-2021 tentative budget. Trustee Baker, would you like to report anything on our meeting?
Well, I'm sure if there's any detail, Mr. Parker will fill us all in, but we did meet, I think it was early last week. Everything feels like it was years ago, even if it just happened a couple hours ago. But we talked about it at length. We talked about a number of anticipated changes because in the way that the state is going to be allocating funds to the different schools and what effect that might have on Napa Valley College, and kind of what our plans are for addressing that, and feeling pretty confident. I mean, there's still a lot of unknowns, and this is again just a tentative budget, but I'm glad we're doing it on time, even though we don't technically have to, just because something I have to worry about for a while, and then again we will be coming back when we have more information. But I don't know if Bob, you want to talk about kind of the some of the information that we got about categorical versus the community support and things like that, and the effect that they're expecting, or if we just, I don't know how you want to try to present that, or if it looks like you have the whole thing there, so if you just want to treat us all, we'd be happy to watch it again.
I was going to ask him to go to the nitty gritty. So there you go, Mr.
Okay. So I will go to the nitty gritty. So first of all, And as I said a little earlier, the budget landscape is changing on a regular basis. And when we met, so it was just last Tuesday on June 2nd that we had the Audit and Finance Committee meeting. And at that time, we were talking about the governor's May revise, which had a few surprises in it. One surprise being that for community-supported districts, because community-supported districts wouldn't be impacted by the proposed cuts in the student-centered funding formula, that the Department of Finance had placed in the budget bill language that would calculate what a community-supported district would have lost if it was under the student-centered funding formula, and then would take that away from the community-supported district's categorical funding, which would have been for us about a $3.4 million cut in categorical funding. Now, the following day, on Wednesday, June 3rd, the Senate and the legislature came out with their budget proposal, which threw all of that out and said that we're going to develop the state budget under the assumption that federal funds are going to come in and that the federal government will provide funding to make up some of the shortfalls in the state budget. So the joint budget proposal, which is now being worked out with the governor's office, remember, the legislature has to adopt a budget by June 15th, and then the governor has until June 30th to sign it. So changes could still take place. But going back to that joint proposal, it says there won't be any cuts as long as the state gets federal relief. If the state does not get federal relief, there still won't be significant cuts, but they will defer, and many of you probably remember deferrals from the Great Recession, which doesn't feel so great anymore, but the Great Recession a few years back, that they would defer, and it's an additional $700 million. The original budget proposal had about $300 million, so it's approximately $1 billion in funding to community colleges would be deferred. So now that becomes a huge cash flow issue, because while the majority of our funding for our general fund unrestricted budget comes from local sources, our property taxes and our other local fees that we collect. The lion's share of our restricted funds, and those are close to $10 million, the lion's share of those restricted funds come through categorical programs that are funded by the state. And so the fact that the state will say, we're giving you money this year, but we're not actually going to pay you until next year, becomes a big cash flow issue. And most districts are looking at budget reductions in order to weather those deferrals. So I say all of that to say that it's just more evidence that the budget scenarios change on a regular basis. And what we hear from the state is that clear picture of the overall state financial picture won't be available until at least July, after personal income taxes are filed, and probably not until late summer or early fall. And the state is looking to revise its budget sometime in late summer or early fall, which would be then new information that we would incorporate into our budget. Now, so far in terms of revenue, I'm sure you've seen, we've all heard, and we've all seen the impact that revenue shortfalls are having and will continue to have on our city government and our county government. But all of that is based on sales tax and the transient or TOT tax. Nobody at this point is forecasting any changes in property taxes, but it's a little too early to know what the overall impact will be. And so, having said all of that, the tentative budget that you see tonight and the tentative budget that the Planning and Budget Committee put together has a few revenue assumptions in it. And Catherine, you're in control, right?
Unless you would like to be.
I think Catherine is always in control, but if can I be in control for a minute, Catherine?
Yes, so you want me to stop sharing and you take over?
Oh, that'd be great.
Okay. Makes me nervous, though.
So I won't walk us through this whole presentation. You've all had it. You all had an opportunity to see it. But just to hit a few of the highlights here, how did we develop this budget? And when we started this budget development process, we were using Community College League of California guidelines. They're saying, develop your budget, current revenue with COLA, current revenue with no COLA, and a 5 to 15% reduction. We kind of looked at combining scenarios 2 and 3. So we said property tax revenue will be held at 2019, 2020 levels. So we weren't predicting any increase in property taxes. That might be a little more conservative than it needed to be. Then we also said state revenue would be reduced by 5%. The governor's original May revise had certain state funds that we received reduced by 15%. So not as conservative as the original May revise, but still reducing revenue a bit. We're including any bargain salary increases and step increases. And we said that CalSTRS and CalPERS district contribution rates would be held at the 2019-2020 levels. Actually, what was in the governor's May revise, which hopefully will stay through the rest of the budget process, was to reduce CalSTRS and CalPERS district contribution rates by 1% compared to the 2019-2020 levels. So, a few things have changed, but those were the best, that was the best information that we had at the time, and probably the best information that we have currently, given the ever-changing picture in Sacramento. We went through the process of having folks submit their unit plans and looked at the total requests for strategic initiatives and operational continuance. They totaled $6 million. If there weren't any reductions in revenue, we might have funds available to support some of the prioritized requests. It's looking unlikely, however, that any of these prioritized requests will be able to be funded. But again, we'll revisit that in the fall. We do have some capital improvement funds that are available and some technology fee funds that would potentially be available working with the ASNVC. So just some highlights here. In administrative services, and what came forward from administrative services was some funding, a request for some funding for network infrastructure, and that's where we can potentially work with the associated students to use some of the technology fee funds that are available. And then we had the Building 3100 modernization phase 1. Building 3100 is the machine tool and welding building. That actually made it into the first round of state budgeting, which means we will hopefully be getting some funds to move forward with that modernization. We, however, have to match those funds. And so that would be about $444,000 in this year. That would come from our available capital improvement funds that we have on deposit. And then finally, we would need to move forward with some roof replacements as well. Again, coming from capital improvement funds. In the Student Affairs Council, a few items here, Student Ambassador Academy, operational budget for STEM, and a document imaging system. From Academic Affairs Council, some distance education professional development, replacement technology for classrooms, and some other instructional equipment. And then finally, in the President's area, from Office of Institutional Advancement, another phase of web content management or the website renewal. From the President's Office, consultants to study uses of the Greenbelt, UVC, and Mount Veeder, and faculty stipends to review Academic Affairs Board policies. We're actually moving forward with that with funds that are already available, so nothing that would require additional funding. Human Resources, a couple of reclassifications, and then RIPI, some software, and travel to an accreditation institute. So again, as I say, none of those are included in the budget that you're seeing tonight. Those are things for consideration looking at the budget picture when we move into the fall. So a couple of highlights looking at the general fund budget. We're showing the potential reductions in state revenue. So a decrease in state revenue, apportionment that comes from the state, enrollment fees, enrollment fee administration, things of that nature. We're forecasting a decrease in lottery income. We had heard that lottery sales were declining at this time. We'll see again in the fall how that looks. Local income, we were forecasting that our property tax revenue would stay flat or remain the same.
Hey, Bob, quick question on, can you go back to the previous slide, please?
Sure.
In terms of, I guess maybe it could be just the COVID. I'm just curious, would you normally, Dr. Kraft just mentioned that we're probably anticipating maybe a student enrollment increase, but maybe perhaps that's just not next year. It's in light of just the uncertainty of the health of our communities. That would, but maybe it would perhaps be higher, maybe 2021 or 2022.
Yes. So this is one of the things that we'll be revisiting when we look to develop the final budget. At the time that we were developing this tentative budget, and even today, quite frankly, it's hard for us to predict what student enrollments will look like in the fall. We've had a few years of decline. This was the first year that we saw some leveling off of that, but then in the spring, we saw a decline again, which was totally related to COVID-19. Prior to COVID-19, our spring enrollments were trending a little up. If I remember correctly, it was somewhere in the 1% to 2% range up, but they were trending up. By the end of the semester, they were down about 4 to 5%, all related to COVID-19. So using that information, we were assuming that enrollment fee revenue would take a little bit of a dip in the new fiscal year. Hopefully that won't be the case, and we'll have better information by the time we get to developing the final budget. We will know, we'll be able to look at our fall enrollments and see how they're trending.
Thank you.
Sure. In terms of expenditures, as I said on the earlier slide, we're including any step increases, any negotiated increases for our bargaining units here. The one change significant here is that we're showing that our classified salaries, all others, will be significantly reduced next year. And classified salaries, all others, is hourly, part-time employees, and overtime. And so we're saying that we are strictly limiting the use of hourly employees and limiting overtime. And so that's a significant decrease there. Looking at other areas, we are keeping books and supplies at the level that we spent this year. Other personal services, that's a bit of a decrease, and that's because we had some one-time activity in that area. But another significant reduction is in travel, conference, and professional development. That's primarily due to the fact that we are not anticipating travel or professional development activities taking place in the fall semester. That we're limiting the amount of travel and, quite frankly, not anticipating that a lot of travel will take place at that time. And so we are anticipating that we will have a balanced budget and that our fund balance will remain the same. And that fund balance is currently at about 11%. Moving on to our general fund restricted, and these are our categoricals. Now there's a big change here in federal income. And just to point out, that is because our Project RISE grant, we're in the last year of our Project RISE grant, which is a federal grant. That ends on September 30th. And so that's the lion's share of the decrease here, that those grant funds will no longer be available. Then these other areas, state income, we're showing that 5% decrease. Here in salaries and benefits, again, a significant decrease in classified salaries, all others, limiting that use of hourly employees and overtime. Again, here with travel, conference, and professional development, again, limiting that significantly, expecting that there will not be travel activities taking place in the fall semester. And so again, predicting a balanced budget for restricted funds, revenues equaling expenditures. And so our final considerations, any fluctuation or anything that happens in the state budget primarily impacts our categorical funding. The state budget is expected to be reviewed and revised in August, and then we will obviously revise our tentative budget before we get to the final or adopted budget in the fall. And
Thank you.
Sure.
Oh, yes.
I was going to say I'd be happy to answer any other questions that folks might have.
I was just last month we had shown a loss due to COVID. Has that increased at all, or?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? It cut out a little bit on my end.
I was just last month you had given us the impact of the COVID so far, and I was just wondering if the losses had increased at all, or do we expect them to?
We don't expect them to at this point. That's what we talked about last month, the reductions in revenue and the offsets that were coming from FEMA and from the CARES Act funds. Those have remained constant.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Any more comments? There being none.
I just want to say, it's not really a comment, but just the committee, the Audit and Finance Committee did make a motion, or I forget what. Well, we recommended approval to the full board was our action. So.
And so, do I have a motion?
I'll move for approval. Trustee Iverson.
Second, Dodd.
Thank you very much. Moved by Trustee Iverson, second by Trustee Dodd. Trustee Baker, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustee Goff. I guess I'll come back to her. Trustee Dodd.
Aye.
Trustee Rios.
Aye.
Student Trustee Leon.
Aye.
Trustee Baldini.
Aye.
And that's an aye for me as well. Trustee Goff? You back?
And I gave you an eye, Rosario. I gave you an eye. I gave you an eye.
Okay. All
Can you hear
right.
me?
I can hear you now.
It's an eye.
Thank you very much. So that's unanimous.
Oh, good. Okay.
Hey.
It's an eye.
Are you singing? Number 14 on the agenda, Human Resources Information, Discussion, Action Items. 15.1, Update on Child Care Center. Mr. DeHaro?
Thank you. You'll recall that last year around this time, the college was engaged in deep conversations with NCOE.
Out of there, Charlie.
Regarding them taking over the services of our childcare facility. And so we entered into agreement where Napa Valley College holds the license to the facility, but NCOE is the subcontractor, and they would be providing the services. So as of the fall semester, NCOE was providing the services for our students and some members of the community, and things were going pretty well till the COVID situation. So Dr. Kraft had asked me to find out an update in terms of what their plans are for resuming their services. So I convened a meeting with members of the NCOE staff who are assigned to child care services here back on June the 1st, and learned that they too, as a system, as a service, system-wide, received a large cut, which is approximately 10%. But they're also hoping that the legislation that they were moving forward and being advocated for would hold them harmless. So the cut would be made, but they wouldn't actually see that reduction in the funding. That decision has not been made yet. In fact, they're waiting for results of that legislation and the negotiations that go within that this week. So, but for right now, they're still at a cut in their sources. They are optimistic that if all goes well, they will resume services to our students as of August the 1st. And when they do resume services, one change that will take place, at least one among many, is that because of the distance, safety, or the social distancing, we will serve, or they will serve 50 students rather than the regular or the normal 75 students. So because of the distancing that they will be required to maintain between their children, that will reduce them by about 25 students. And then as part of the process to see how many of our Napa Valley College students are interested or still interested and would like these services, they were going to conduct surveys of our current students from the spring semester in the fall to see if they would still be interested in services. So therefore they would have the priority, and then they would start to recruit for the balance of students that they would need. Now, there is one piece of good news that we learned during our meeting, and that is that back in September, they had mentioned to us that because they knew that they were going to be taking over this service for us, they wrote a grant, and the grant was one that entailed sort of redoing for all purposes our playground area. So that would include removing the sand. That would include putting in rubber surfaces so the kids, when they fall down, don't scrape themselves, and actually installing a new playground. And so the grant that they submitted was for $500,000 or thereabouts. Well, we learned that actually it was granted, so it was awarded. So now, once their personnel who's in charge of facilities meet with our staff, Matt in particular, they will start on that work. And in essence, Napa College will get a brand new playground setting for our students or for the future children or in that facility. So with that, that's the update.
Oh, that's awesome.
I have a couple questions real quick. You mentioned that they were going to have to serve fewer children because of the necessity to create more space and distance, and but assuming that is not a financial decision and it's just because of a space issue, do we have any option to give them more space somewhere, so that that might mean more people, or so there might be, even if we did have space, an additional cost to that. But I'm just wondering if there's anything we can do to balance that out so that we don't end up creating a hardship for people.
Currently, the way that we have it set up is that they are using 5 of the classrooms, which have been designated or have been used in the past as classrooms for child development classes, as well as for child care. So this juncture, we don't see any additional spaces being made available. If there are any spaces that may be available, we'd have to have a conversation with facilities as well as with other staff members within that area to see what other spaces we may make available to them. But for right now, it's the 5 classrooms that have been available to them that they will have to use to distribute their services.
Thank you. Any more questions for Mr. DeHaro?
Yes, Mr. DeHaro, this is Trustee Baldy. Would it make any sense, given the housing going in, that it be moved to the northern end of the campus as a long-term plan, since you were planning for married student housing?
Well, I guess that's a good question. I haven't given it much thought, but I guess it would depend on how many children are living in the housing, and to see if it's something that that the children that are there would be able to use our facility here, or maybe we have like a mini child facility there. But I think it's a good question. We haven't had to give it much thought. But there's always going to be that possibility of doing things differently once we get back to normal, and so that's a consideration that we should work on.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Thank you, Mr. DeHaro, for that information.
Thank you.
16 on the agenda. 16.1, institutional strategic plan revision. Dr. Warnall.
Alrighty, Catherine, did you want me to screen share?
Yes, that would be fine.
Actually, it says I can't so you have to relinquish it first.
Yeah, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's see here. This is just share. Okay, so okay, so good evening, board. A document presenting the existing institutional strategic plan, as well as the proposed revised institutional strategic plan, was attached to this agenda item in board docs prior to this meeting. So what I'm going to present to you is a few slides. Whoops, hold on. A few slides to summarize the changes and the timing of our institutional strategic plan. So first, some general background and context for the institutional strategic plan. So our existing plan was approved by the Board of Trustees in place in 2017. It spans 3 years, 2018 through 2021. And hopefully, as you're aware, hopefully it includes 5 broad institutional goals. 3 of those are associated with the student progression. So basically, equip incoming students for success, engage them while they are here, and then get them to completion of their educational goals. And then we have 1 goal associated with physical stability, and finally, a community and civic partners goal. This semester, we reviewed the existing strategic plan and identified some changes to propose. So the primary reason for the review and where we got here is that the planning and resource allocation cycle that Bob was talking about just a little while ago, we just completed that cycle for upcoming 2020-2021, and that represents the final year of the current plan. So by this time next year, if we don't extend this current institutional strategic plan, we'll need to have a new one in place for the annual planning and budget process in 2021-2022. So that was really the primary impetus behind it, behind considering what we do at this point. So our choices were to either develop a new plan or to extend and revise the existing plan. So basically, we use that as an opportunity to evaluate our needs. And I will say that NVC has changed the span of institutional strategic plans in the past. We have, I don't know if it's necessarily a regular practice, but usually our strategic plans have spanned from anywhere between 3 years and up to 6 years. And so this was on the shorter side of that spectrum. So part of the reason to expand, as I mentioned, is the annual planning needs for the next cycle, but also relative to our annual progress report, which comes to you every year. As of this point, we have reported out accomplishments for only one academic year under the current plan, so that was 2018-2019. And we just finished year 2. And one thing that I have planned for the summer is to draft the report and develop the progress report reporting out on 2019-2020. So it's really, so we have more opportunity for evaluation and doing those formative and then summative reports associated with the institutional strategic plan. Another reason to consider extending the plan is to align it even better with our upcoming accreditation review cycle, and specifically our 2022 comprehensive review. And this will provide an opportunity to evaluate and update the institutional strategic plan following the institutional self-evaluation report for accreditation and the associated site visit for that. So we took the opportunity to review all of the goals and to adjust those as needed. So what I've summarized here are the changes that were outlined in the document attached to this item in the board docs. So basically, we extended the plan through, or proposing to extend the plan through 2023, so for 2 more years. We also updated one of the goals, the one associated with fiscal stability, and basically, as is indicated here with the strikeout font there, basically, we removed the reference to the transition to a community-supported district, so it would now read, ensure the fiscal stability of NVC as a community-supported district. We also added a goal associated with equity, and that covers both equity in terms of student outcomes data and also institutional practices and the evaluation of those practices through an equity lens. I want to share that these revisions actually began prior to the remote environment, and they were presented to the Planning and Budget Committee in April, and so that was well before the equity issues really came to the forefront of our national consciousness in recent weeks. I think that was very timely that we have folded that into these proposed revisions. The final changes were just some edits, so including, you might have noticed that we changed the order rather than adding equity as a 6th goal. We placed it following the 3 that were associated with the student progression, so it kind of provides a good transition between the student-oriented goals and then those that are more operational and on the district, focusing on our operations, not necessarily student success. So the tentative draft that is before you tonight, just as an information item, is so it has been reviewed and recommended by the Planning and Budget Committee. It's being presented alongside the tentative budget that was done at both the campus forum as well as your meeting this evening, and that's part of our efforts to strengthen the integration of planning and resource allocation practices. It will be finalized in the fall and will come to you at the same time that the final or adopted budget is presented for your action. Once it is finalized, then the next step will be to develop initiatives, measurable objectives, and deliverables associated with the new equity goal. And so we anticipate doing that in the fall. And then finally, the development of a new institutional strategic plan that would be beyond 2013 would begin in spring 2022. So I'm happy to answer any questions and collect your feedback on this tentative draft.
Questions, comments?
Well, I would just say that adding I was excited to see, I don't know if you have this, Robin, back to the equity piece that we discussed this earlier in the year and felt it was a critical aspect of what we were really talking about, and it's a little prescient, I think, as things have turned out. And I'm really glad that we're addressing this added goal in equity. It was planned, it was underway already, but I think it draws incredible importance for the board now. So good job, Robin. Thank you so much for bringing it into bear. You do good work. You're always on top of stuff and ahead of the curve. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah, I just want to say the same thing, Robin. Your reports are always thorough and presentations are really good.
Thank you. Well, I have another one coming up, so that's I feel that way.
Yeah, that's 16.2. Educational master plan.
I knew this was going to happen. We shouldn't have, yeah.
I jinxed myself or something. So was there another question or?
No, I think we're on to 16.2.
Okay. So I need to go share something else. I'm going to stop this share and then go queue up the other one. Okay, I'm giving a presentation, so I can't talk right now. Okay. So I am pleased to present the 2019-2020 Educational Master Plan update to you. The complete 62-page document was attached to the board agenda. For my presentation, I'll provide some information about this document relative to other institutional plans, describe the structure of the Educational Master Plan or EMP update, and identify some highlights and describe the development process. So this is the third in a series of our Educational Master Plan documents. In 2013, we completed a 10-year plan, which was in 2013 to 2023, and that's really kind of the parent document in this case. And that identified some general themes that were really expected to impact all California community colleges in the coming years. In 2015-2016, we did our first EMP update, and that focused on local trends and projections that were much more specific to NVC. The current update represents kind of a combination of those two approaches in that it includes information on the external landscape of statewide initiatives, including the Guided Pathways and Vision for Success and student equity initiatives. And on the local side, we've then provided even more information about the local community and anticipated labor market needs than we have in the past. The Educational Master Plan, as well as these updates, are part of our integrated planning system. And so what I've listed here are some other institutional plans and guiding documents, and then the years that the most recent versions have been reviewed or revised. So all of these, as you can see, are periodically updated or at least revisited, and we have a staggered calendar. Everyone always is curious to ask which one comes first, and it's kind of there's just there's a one that's first necessarily. It's just that we periodically review all of them according to a defined schedule. So the EMP is a resource and really a starting point for other planning activities across the institution. It's intended to stimulate conversation among committees that might be responsible, for some of these areas among in the unit planning process and really across the institution as a whole. So the structure of this EMP update, we start with the external scan, and that included those statewide initiatives I referenced a minute ago, as well as the local population changes. And then we had 6 data sections, which covered the population served, the local labor market, the high school to college transition, student success metrics that are available on the Chancellor's Office website, and those we divvied up into 2 categories, one covering access, enrollment, and momentum points, and then the other covering completion and employment outcomes for our students. And the final section had enrollments, section offerings, and facilities usage. The way we structured it is that each section concludes with a summary of key findings based on the data that's presented in that section, and then strategies to consider that are aligned with those key findings. Some highlights here. I'm just going to read through these, and I tried to draw some one from each section, and so the first one covers 2 different areas. But so some highlights were the local population ages 15 to 34 is expected to decrease by 10% over the next 10 years. And we do not anticipate a wave of high school graduates in the coming years. So that's one of the things that we're anticipating, lower enrollments, obviously in the short term here, and particularly because of COVID, we will see a surge, but this is a larger 10-year context. So the educational attainment levels in Napa County are not expected to change over the next 10 years. So there's a slide showing that the percent of students with a high school level graduation or a bachelor's degree, et cetera, is very stable over the next 10 years. So this is really, I think, an opportunity for NVC to carve out a role for itself in trying to change those numbers. The projected labor market needs for both Napa County and the Bay Area include positions that are tend to be focused on business, health occupations, and education. NVC's accomplishment in terms of both employment outcomes from those student success metrics, as well as the increase in earning potential associated with higher educational attainment in general, are areas that can be marketed and shared with the Napa community. And NVC's credit student headcount tends to increase as an unemployment increases, and there's been reference to that, as well as the idea that some students might be taking a gap year rather than going directly to a 4-year institution. I did look at in the EMP update that was presented, the highest unemployment rate that was associated with 2010 was 9.6, according to local data for Napa County as of April. It is 15.9 in April, so we haven't experienced these levels in recent years, and expect again that our headcount will likely increase with unemployment. Okay, so the development process is that RIPI has been working on this project for the better part of the academic year, and we adopted a team approach of beginning with discussing the data as it was collected and determining how to present it. We aimed to be very light on narrative, particularly for this version versus the 2015-2016 report or plan. So we really embraced the idea that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and applying that particularly to the world of data graphics. We did incorporate some annotations into some of the graphics to help highlight some of the anticipated changes. I want to say that I'm very proud of this document that RIPI produced, and I want to give kudos or a shout out to all of my staff for all of the work that went into this. I think I love the look and feel. It's totally different. I think we all contributed in a way, and it really shows. I think we all had a good time doing it too. So the EMP update has gone through our committee and academic senate structures for approval. So the Planning and Budget Committee and the Academic Senate saw it for 2 readings, if you will, at separate meetings, so that it was both for information or discussion first, and then as an action item at a subsequent meeting of both of those bodies. So it's coming to you for action tonight, and I am happy to answer any questions you have.
I have a question. First, before I do forget, Dr. Warnell, I think the changes you made were great. I sat down to read this, and at first I thought, well, this is going to take a while. And I read through the whole thing, without stopping. I thought it was very easy to follow, and the graphics and everything were very helpful. I do have a couple questions. Some of the charts and things that are in here and break down some of the demographics in the schools and the feeder schools. I didn't see anything on Calistoga, and I think there were a couple of breakdowns. I didn't see anything on St. Helena. I saw other county. Were those included in other county rather than breaking them out?
So we haven't been able to get data from St. Helena and Calistoga. We've been putting in some requests as recently as last summer, so that we could include that information. You might be aware as well that our current institutional strategic plan has the capture rate for St. Helena and Calistoga as measurable objectives, but we don't even have the baseline data yet because we need the data files from those folks. So if you could help in that effort in any way.
Well, I was just going to say, maybe I can, but I need to know exactly what I'm asking for. Maybe we can connect on that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll work with Dr. Parker on it when she is in the officially at the NVC in her NVC capacity. So yeah, we can pick up.
Great.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Well, but those were my two questions. Like I said, I thought the report was great. I was able to follow it and really liked to all the information that was in there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments or questions for Dr. Warnell?
I just had Raphael kind of hit on the points that I wanted to, but Upper Valley, and I don't know if that's Dr. Kraft, if that's something that you can assist with, but I think that it's important to include Upper Valley in this. So if we can get the measurable objectives, that would be huge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trustee Rios has been assigned or volunteered to.
I'm happy to follow up.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Warnell. Great presentation. And yes, I agree with Trustee Rios on the presentation of the reading material. It's cool. Can I have a motion, please?
Trustee Baldini.
Second? Moved by Trustee Baldini, second by Trustee Rios. Trustee Baker, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustee Dodd?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Oh goodness, Trustee Rios again.
Aye.
Student Trustee Leon?
Aye.
Trustee Baldini?
Aye.
And that is an aye for me as well. So it passes unanimously. Thank you all. And we go on to 16.3. That is the resolution to adopt the Napa County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Motion to. I was going to, unless we have a presentation, I was ready to move for approval.
Or Mr. Baker.
I will second your motion if you're moving.
Does Dr. Parker have anything to say? I mean, okay, fine. So it was moved by Trustee Dodd?
Correct.
And second by Trustee Iverson?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay, thank you very much. Baker, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustee Dodd?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Iverson? Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Rios?
Aye.
Student Trustee Leon?
Aye.
Trustee Baldini?
Aye.
And that's an aye for me as well. Passes unanimously. Thank you all. So we go on to 17 and 17.1, Standing Committee and other appointment reports. DAS.
We have not met since our last meeting.
Thank you. Viticulture Winery Foundation.
We have not met since our last meeting.
Thank you very much. Legislative Affair.
Legislative hasn't met, but thanks to Holly Dawson, we're keeping in touch with our legislators. Again, they just came back and they've tabled a lot of things. We are still in the holding pattern with everybody else. So hopefully we'll meet again in the fall when we know more.
Thank you. That's awesome. Trustee Baker, anything that you would like to add on the audit and finance?
The only other thing that we discussed at our meeting was just kind of the timeline for the audit, and we're planning to meet in September to kind of get started on that process. But everything else that we reviewed has already come to the board.
Thank you. Real Property Committee.
No report.
McPherson Distinguished Teaching Award.
No report.
Napa Valley College Foundation. Trustee Iverson.
No report, but I look forward to giving you guys some really good feedback next month at our board meeting. Hopefully we'll have been able to get together by then.
Thank you very much. Waiting for that. 17.2. Do we have any future agenda item requests?
Yes. I have been contacted by a couple people rather upset about maintenance of our campuses, which is an issue we've talked about in the past, landscaping, lighting, certain things like that. Upset that one of these people had contacted, I think 2 or 3 people in the administration, and was very upset that they've got no response. Or unsatisfactory responses, or passed on from one person to another. And it's an issue that we talked about before, and what what funds are available, and what is the plan to fix some of the conditions that exist. So I would like us to address that formally.
Okay. Thank you. So noted.
I want to support Raphael in that. I think the facilities is something that I've been pushing on for a long time, and similar emails and comments about our facilities out there, not just our main campus, but Upper Valley as well. And I did want to ask, I don't know if it's a future agenda item request, because this month is Pride Month, but I want to make sure that we are raising the flag and doing what we need to be doing to support that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Trustee 17.3, trustee and board chair reports. Trustee Baker.
Pass.
No, don't pass. I actually have a lot of things I want to say today. I have 3 things. I did attend a couple of different meetings and things, but I'm kind of departing from the normal and perhaps hopefully not too inappropriate, but I wanted to share one thing and then just say a couple things. First thing I wanted to share is to piggyback on the message that Holly Dawson sent out earlier today, highlighting a bunch of resources that are available to all of us to expand our understanding of social justice issues. And I just want to remind people that also available to us, to our students, our faculty, our staff, basically anybody who lives in Napa. If you have a Napa County Library card, or if you have an NVC library card, you can access for free Hoopla and Canopy, and both of those services have created some really excellent lists of things on this topic. They've got ebooks, audiobooks, movies, documentaries, and it's all free. You never have to place a hold. All you have to do is click on it and it's yours. So please check out those resources. The other thing I want to say, you may not have noticed since we're Zooming and not together, but I did not participate in the Pledge of Allegiance today. And I want to say why. And because it's not a decision I made lightly. I looked in Black's Law Dictionary, which defines allegiance as obligation of fidelity and obedience to government in consideration for protection that government gives. And one of our former trustees, Mary Ann Mancuso, whenever she would do the Pledge of Allegiance, she always did a really personal thing where she would say "for all" at the very end, where she would really stress those last two words. And I just feel like, for me, and kind of echoing her sentiment on that, until there's some significant action on the part of our government to really guarantee that we have liberty and justice for all, I will not be participating in the Pledge of Allegiance. And the other thing I wanted to say, again, perhaps not totally appropriate, but when I took this office, I made an oath, as we all did, to defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I am firmly in the belief right now, I have been for a long time, but in the last 2 weeks, it's only just been solidified, that our biggest enemy is sitting in the White House. And I intend to use any opportunity I have in the rest of my term, where there may not be many, but if there are any, I intend to use any opportunity I have to subvert this administration's agenda, and I'm going to do my best to encourage any other elected officials to do the same. So that's all I have to say.
Goodness, I'm muted. Thank you, Jennifer. Trustee Dodd.
Not going to make a report tonight, but I do appreciate Trustee Baker's comments and don't think that they were inappropriate at all.
Thank you, Trustee Goff.
I don't have a report, but again, thank you, Trustee Baker. I appreciate your thoughts.
Trustee Iverson.
I do want to support my fellow trustees, Baker and Dodd and Goff, and I do not think those comments are inappropriate. I think we are living in interesting times and there's a lot to be done, and I expect this board and our district to do our part in making this world a better place. And I want to also thank the district from the top down and the bottom up for all the work that we've done through the COVID-19 pandemic and also this social injustice that's been happening. So thank you all, and I appreciate the comments, Trustee Baker. So
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Trustee Iverson. Trustee Rios?
I also do not have a report, but I do want to say thank you to Trustee Baker for her strength and courage in making those comments.
Student Trustee Leon?
Right. I do not have a report for board activity, but I would like to make the comment that I have been receiving several messages in regards to, political climate. There's social injustice. There's a bunch of protesting going on. And I would just like to make that comment, announce it publicly, that I will be working with several student groups, including our ASNVC, our LGBTQ club, our Black Student Union. And I would like to get their messages across to the Board of Trustees, to the administration at our campus. And so please keep an eye out on your emails. And we would like to, divulge those thoughts and those concerns that the students have been having. And so I would really like to make sure that you all get a chance to read that and hear their voices. So just keep an eye out for your emails, and that information will come soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Trustee Maldini?
And thank you very much, Trustee Baker, for your comments. And on Trustee Rios's reports, I'm inside. I'm in the administration. I'm in the boardroom here. So I have a stinky dog and a barking dog who ran into a skunk last night. So I just want to say the inside of this building is absolutely stunningly clean. I've never seen any place as clean as this building is, and thank you to the staff that maintains these buildings. I'm amazed. So thank you.
Thank you.
End of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. And I guess that leaves me. Yes, thank you, Trustee Baker. And thank you all that have supported her comments. And on that note, I'm wondering if there's anything that we can do as a board, and I would like to suggest that we do. I don't know what, but to show solidarity with our African American employees, students. Like I said, I don't know what, and we could pass a resolution, but and that's very nice, but I wish it would go deeper than that. And I'm open for suggestions if, and we can discuss later, but I would like something to be done. So I will be getting in touch with you as to any ideas on whatever it is that we would like to do. And I will check with other colleges and to see what they're doing. Maybe we can replicate or we can do something similar.
I don't know how appropriate, President Roselda. It's Eileen Tejada. I don't know how appropriate, since you're requesting ideas. I know that Fresno City College, I think San Francisco City as well, has adopted the equity and inclusivity statement from the State Academic Senate. As a guiding principle in terms of ideas and also as practice. It would be nice to see this board adopt something similar. I'd be happy to share the language with you. It was a resolution that passed at the fall plenary session of the State Academic Senate.
Okay. Can you share that with me, please?
Yes, and we can maybe talk in a little bit about how do I get that statement to you.
Okay. Sounds like a great idea. Thank you.
Rosada, it's Ron. I sent an email to all board members earlier tonight, exactly on this issue, encouraging you to work together for a policy statement for a retreat in July, to get very specific about your actions and also pointing to your flex day presentations and addressing racism and white privilege, and how you're each going to be called upon for those conversations, and you as a board as well. So you should absolutely be able to get at this. So if you'd like any information on that, please get back to me or each other as you read the email that I sent you earlier.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
If I can pipe in, we originally had a retreat or a field trip scheduled for July 18th. I might suggest that we keep that date and that date open. I know it's still on my calendar. We were supposed to go to Mount Veeder, but we probably can't do that. Maybe that's a day we could get together, at least for a couple of hours as a.
You might do both. Mount Veeder is quite lovely. Facilities department has done an amazing job up there, making it look very beautiful, and it's quite amazing just to see. I think it would be an opportunity to see a biological preserve that has been almost fully restored, and at the same time have this conversation in great outdoors. So
sounds like a great idea. Great idea. Thank you.
I would assume that Mount Veeder, we could easily keep our 6-foot distance.
you can keep a lot more than that up there. That's true. Yes. So we'll work together with the board chair on this and see what we can do.
Great work, you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
That sounds awesome. That's wonderful. Yes, great ideas. Thank you. And so, do we want to continue closed session? We don't have anything to continue. 19.2. Our next meeting will be. Oh, please help me with that. When is our next meeting?
July 9th. But
July
what
9th?
time is the August 6th special meeting? It's a tentative. What time is that? Is that our regular 4:30?
And shouldn't it be 20 instead of 19?
Oh, yeah. I don't know who put that on there.
Don't know. I'm looking right now to see.
You're right. That should be 20. I don't know how that happened.
Is that 4:15?
Regular time, and we'll have a little bit of time to decide with the meeting time for that. But right now,
Okay.
in your conversations, you decided that that would be a good day for a regular time for the meeting.
Thank you.
Chair, Trustee Segura, Madam Chair.
Sorry, I was muted again. Yes,
All right.
Trustee Iverson.
I was just thinking maybe it's appropriate to close the meeting with a moment of silence for those lives lost that have been injustice and stand for the cause that we're all working towards.
I love that. I love that very much. So let's go for a minute or 2 minutes of silence before we close. And again, this is in solidarity. Thank you all for that. And with that, we're adjourned.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tejada, too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Night night.
Good night.